Hey, what's going on? E. Jones, bottom to the top hoops.
Like Elvis, we're in the building.
Hey, L, man, let me tell you something, bro. You've been holding us down for 55 episodes. Salute to you, brother. Step from behind the camera, the editing, the production, jump right in. Yo, man, you found a new career, brother.
COVID.
You got to adapt and adjust, man. Thank you to everybody who consumes the content. Make sure you check us out, Apple TV, Spotify, YouTube, all of those platforms where you consume your digital content. We want to definitely shout out our sponsors. Who we shouting out, L?
T-Mobile. Shout out to T-Mobile. Been there from day one. Look for their local services. I think they got the $50 plan, if I'm not mistaken now. So check that out.
Yes, man. We definitely want to shout out Fine Food Cuisine, Chef Al, Slice over there, man. Great food, but specifically, man, we want to focus on some community give back that they're doing. Great stuff to a shelter for men, women, and children.
This is Chef Hal. You're watching from the bottom to the top hoops.
Oh, really? Thank you. Put it on the side.
As you can see, 5-star Chef Al and the whole team, we're giving back, guys. And day 2, Fine Food Cuisine for the coat drive. We had my man D's Clothes stop by. Darren stopped by with a big truck full of clothes. We about to show you guys we're donating for a great cause, for a shelter, men's, lady, and kids shelter. We are giving back. Fine Food Cuisine, Chef Al, the owner, the team, myself. It's Fine Food Cuisine, guys. We are back at it again, day 2. My man D's Clothes showed up. My man Darren showed up to do this donation, to give back. We're giving back coats, we're giving back clothes, man. We doing something great. If you're not doing nothing, come on down, donate. We greatly appreciate it. We are doing this for men's, ladies, and kids shelter. And as you can see, we have the van packed up. We're about to start packing in the clothes in the restaurant, the box up. Come on in, 5-star Chef Al and the whole Fine Food Cuisine team.
This is Chef Al.
This is Slice. You're watching from the bottom to the top hoops.
I think that's big, man, because a lot of us don't realize, man, as we're moving, we're just doing what we're doing. And somewhere along the line, we got to understand, we got to get back.
For sure, man. And the Bronx is holding them down, man. I know a lot of my people have gone over since we've been working with them, and they love the food, and they've gone back a few times. And, you know, my family loves it. So the partnership has been great. Their food is consistently tasty. So, you know, kudos to them, man. I know they got plans of expansion for bigger and better things, and I salute them and enjoy working with them. Definitely. So I definitely want to shout out the world famous Harlem Wizards, the WizFit Challenge. If you have needs for a fundraiser, keeping the kids active during the COVID, even with coming back into school for the people who are hybrid or fully in school, this is definitely a great opportunity for fundraising and fun activity for children and schools alike. Who else we shouting out, L?
Shout out to Gary and Ben. Talk to them.
Yes, sir.
Talk to them, NYC. Check them out on Instagram, doing some really good things.
Yes, man. Big shout out to Talk to Them NYC.
Yes.
MMCC with us from the beginning.
Yes, sir.
Diallo over at 109 Embroidery holding us down, always chefing it up for us, man. We got a lot of people holding us down. Always want to make sure we shout them out.
All right, let's get to it.
Let's get to it, man. We talking about a sensitive subject. So we want to get into the details of it, as well as just, just highlighting some of the scenarios so people are educated if it's something they're considering for their children or are in a scenario and don't know what to do. We want to just be able to shed light on it, give perspective, and hopefully educate the people about the subject of reclassification. What's your first take on it, L?
Well, let's start off there where it is. How we've gotten a couple of DMs and people saying, that'll be a great show for us to talk about. More so, we're doing this show to be informative because there's a lot of people who know about reclassification but don't truly understand why it was put in place. So I feel this is a great time for us to really give some real informative information for people who don't know, because, I hear chitter chatter and I hear, this kid reclass, or this kid is behind 2 grades, or whatever the case may be. But at the end of the day, you don't know what the situation is, because they've created reclassification for certain kids that fall into certain situations. And I'd love for you to, elaborate a little more on that, E.
First of all, big shout out to my man, Coach Book, who touched on the subject, definitely bringing to light and offering perspective. That's my brother, and I thought he did a great job of getting some insight. So we want to go to the root of it. So reclassification. Reclassification is not an athletic term. Let's start with that, right? I feel like the root of it is for children who potentially may have academic, cultural, social, emotional issues that they may need to be held back for a grade, right? Reclassification is the term, but in our time, they call it getting left back. That's what they called it, right? So you weren't able to go on to the next grade, maybe because you have behavioral issues, maybe because, you had dyslexia. Who knows what it was for? But if academically you didn't make the cut, you got left back, which now would be deemed as reclassification. So before it was a cachet term and it was mainstream, people would say, yo, he's getting left back or she's getting left back on purpose. That's what they said it was. So with that being said, there's scenarios that people may need to reclassify. People needed to get left back, because now, would you rather your child not be on the reading level or math level or English level and be pushed on and not be proficient? Or push them on with the No Child Left Behind and just not be up to speed and just hope they get it? So that would be a reclassification situation if a kid's not academically there. It's just that with anything, people found a way to take the system, figure it out, manipulate it, and use it to their benefit in certain cases. So that brought about the widespread of reclassification, where people are like, hey, I can gain an advantage potentially athletically, so my kid could gain more access, exposure, additional opportunities, transfer schools. It's a phenomenon that I think has been really, really grown over the last 10 years or so.
Yeah.
And it's a norm now, rather than something that pops up. So that was the root of it, Al.
Well, the first time I heard about reclassification, it was the class we was doing the website, and we was covering high school kids, and it was Jabari Parker. He was the #1 kid in his class. Then Andrew Wiggins reclassed, which put him in his class, which made Andrew the #1 player overall. So he bumped him. But that was because he seen the lane. And
with that being said, Andrew Wiggins was going to be a draft pick regardless, right? Now, it may be a difference between going #1 and going #7, but who's to say you don't get hurt, whatever the case may be. Let me just say one thing to the viewers, the subscribers, the parents, the people who are watching this show. When it comes to athletics, I believe that when you get to the age of about 15 or 16, that hybrid year, the gap starts to close. And if you're good enough, and this is not every case, when I was 16, I could play with grown men, right? And yes, they may have been bigger, more stronger, physical, but I could hold my own. So there may be an IQ difference, but at the end of the day, when you start to get into 15, 16, 17, it's not to say that you can't make a big jump, but you pretty much know who you are and where your trajectory is as an athlete. So when you see parents looking to create scenarios. I get it. It's about free education. And if you can, you know, maneuver around and get that done for your child, you know, more power to you. I believe that Jason Ford said it's not a sprint or a marathon, it's a steeplechase. And it's about getting to the finish line. So if that's your mindset, that's fine. But there's another.
Do me a favor, E. Elaborate a little bit about your situation, because as a young child, young athlete playing with the Gauchos, being at St. Raymond's, being in that basketball loop, you literally fell into the category of a kid who should reclass. Please explain to the people why.
Thanks for that lead in, man. So I was 17 years old and I was a senior in high school. And I went from St. Raymond's to Our Savior Lutheran because I wanted additional basketball opportunity. Let me just be clear. You know, people sometimes want to make bones about it and say, oh, well, you know, it's a better fit for my kid. Listen, I wanted to hoop. I wasn't transferring for any other reason rather than the fact that I wasn't going to get the basketball opportunity I was looking for. So I'm not going to sit here and sugarcoat and people, you know, just call it for what it is, right? Because I think what happens is it doesn't make a parent look good and they can't be forthright and honest enough to say, hey, this is a basketball decision. I'm comfortable in my skin. I wanted to get out of there because I wasn't playing enough. Truth, right? Let's start from there. I was 17 years old. I transferred schools and I graduated at 17. I was always playing with two grades. I was playing with my grade, and with the Gaucho team, I would play with the kids my age. So eventually I stopped playing with the kids my age and I just played my grade. I was on the best team in the city. So you could arguably say I was at a good school. I probably was in the top, I don't know, 100 kids in the city. I'm gonna just make up a number. I was a scholarship athlete, but if I had a reclassified, I would have played with my age and a grade behind, and potentially I could have went a level higher. I played in a junior college. I had the grades. I was a qualifier. At the end of the day, I didn't have the basketball opportunity to be a Division I player. That was my truth. So I went to junior college and tried to get another shot at it. Still didn't become a Division I player. What's the truth? I wasn't a Division I player, or the opportunity didn't present itself. So with that being said, you can run, but you can't hide from your truth. And at the end of the day, potentially, I could have reclassified and went to a prep and maybe gained opportunities, but I believe it happened the way it was supposed to. And I was a kid who developed more later because I had the hunger and passion to chase after a career in professional sports. That's my truth. I don't know what anybody else's truth is, but I feel like in certain cases, when you give a parent truth about a child, their child, it's hard for them to swallow because it's easier to just look for a scapegoat opportunity to maybe say that the kid hasn't gotten the right opportunity, rather than just saying, you know what, my kid needs to work. He's not good enough. She's not good enough. This is the reality. And then you're just prolonging the obvious. You can reclassify 7 times. If you're not that good, you're probably just going to wind up being not that good. You don't go from 5'10" to 7 feet. You know what I mean?
True. That's true.
And I've seen cases where there's a lot of kids who've reclassified and gained the opportunity and gotten scholarships. But I'm going to say in the cases that I know, kids have reclassified and they beat the system. They've reclassified in middle school. Then they've reclassified in high school or done a prep year. So they've essentially been back 2 grades. I've seen it where kids have reclassified twice in middle school, then did a prep year. So
where would I be? Wow, where would we be?
I don't know.
I just look at the reality, just listening to you. I recall that year in high school that we took the city championship. Shout out to that championship team. Bernard Wheeler, Jamal Hunter, Thomas Atkins, Boomer. Yo, I'm just Joaquin Reeves. I'm just thinking like the following year, Kevin Morris literally went to Georgia Tech from King playing 1 year. So just imagine if we would have been there that year behind? Where would we landed?
I mean, again, right? I'm speaking about these cases, and I'm not saying that I have the answers or I know the truth or this is the law. What I'm saying to you is, in the cases that I've seen, more often than not, the kids who reclassify usually end up at the level they were at anyway. That's what I've seen. Like,
got it.
They're prolonging the inevitable, and some kids, after all of that, wind up not even playing ball or finishing college because it's just so much pressure that's put on the sport and the success of the child, and there's so much energy being put into getting whatever that thing they're chasing is, and then perspective is lost, and then what you have ultimately is a high school or middle school or college career that's based solely on basketball. And I was that way, so I could speak to it. All I cared about was hooping. I didn't really, I had to do my schoolwork because my parents made it that way, but I can't say until I was a junior in college that I really cared either way. And I'm just being honest.
Yeah.
Right? At the end of the day, my reality hit. And for all of those kids and all of those parents that are using this reclassification thing and putting a heavy focus on sports, make sure you get some balance and give these kids this academic support, because at the end of the day, that basketball runs out of air and the kids become enabled, and then it's a crutch because you've done so much for them and they're not self-sufficient, and they're looking for you as grown men to still be making decisions for men because they never had to do it, because you've showed them essentially how to cheat. And it's not every case, but I'm saying in some cases, you see kids struggle because they've watched and they've been a part of manipulating a system, and they didn't have to go through having to fight to get something and earn something, as opposed to trying to manipulate something.
Absolutely.
And that's the cases I've seen. So,
well, I know the perfect reason to reclass.
What's that?
COVID. I'm seeing students who are really not on that level and have a skill set that have potential, high potential. So those type of kids, I can see them doing it, especially in middle school, because you want to get them up to speed before they actually get to high school. And then it doesn't affect them as much as far as their 4 years of eligibility. So, I can understand that, but it's almost like a phenomenon now. And parents are allowing their children to reclass, but these kids ain't even got that smoke. It's different if your kid's 6'8", or just have this ill skill set where it's obvious to adult this kid. If he reclassed, it's only going to help him. It's going to get him stronger. It's going to get him better.
Let's talk about this, El. Reasons to reclass. You're a 16-year-old senior. You're not physically ready for college. You need to get your body stronger. You need to physically get more, like, you could be potentially putting yourself in harm's way for injury. You know what I mean? Academically, you're struggling, right? Your parents want to get you to a better school because, I don't know, Bucknell requires a 3.3 and you had a 3.1, right? So that's setting you up for further career academically. Relationships, networking makes sense. Let's say you're in a scenario where, you know what? D1s are saying, I need you to go to prep to get one more year. I don't have no scholarships, but I'll take you next year.
Exactly.
Those are situations, it's like, okay, cool. But when you're reclassing in middle school, you're trying to cheat the game. And it's like, when you talk about that scenario with a 6'8" kid, they probably don't need to reclass because they're good enough anyway. But I don't think there's a right or a wrong answer to this scenario. I'm just saying, study the scenarios, study the facts, talk to people who are parents who have done it, and ask them what was their experience with it. Talk to some people like yourself or myself who know about this, right? Because there's AAU coaches and high school coaches that are doing it. And again, right, I've advised parents to reclassify kids because I thought it was in the best interest of the child. But I also told them what the pluses were, what the disadvantages were, and I wanted them to have all of the information before they just went out and did it. Now, if they chose to do it, that's on them. But I educated them first to let them know this is about your child and understand this could backfire, but you got to live with whatever happens.
Yeah, I got to say this, E.
So
our era was the total opposite. You was doing something if you was playing up. Then you was not. You was looked upon as being not. Like I couldn't fathom me playing a year. Like I remember going to Citywide and seeing the age under. I just imagine like it puts me in la la land. Let me stop dreaming right now.
But that's the truth, right? Like we didn't look at the guys behind us and be like, yo, I wish I could play there. We looked at the guys older than us and be like, yo, I can't wait to get on that stage. Give me a shirt? Let me get down. Right? These guys are looking to play kids at a younger age group. So I almost feel as if the way the platform, AAU, and everything's working, it all works with trends. And this is just a trend right now. Mm-hmm. Before it was more just earn your stripes, play where you're supposed to play, and figure it out. That's why I didn't know about prep school, but at the end of the day, I was upset that I couldn't get a Division I scholarship on my own merit with guys that I played with all my life because I felt like I should have earned it. Mm-hmm. And I wasn't blaming nobody. That was on me. You will never hear me say out my mouth, yo, they jerked me. No, I just wasn't good enough. And yeah. I don't think a lot of parents are willing to have that real conversation to say, yo, my kid just had an off game. He stunk it up. She didn't play well. You know what? It may not be as good as I thought. Like that, we got to get back to work. We got to get in the gym. Like that's okay. And you're not neither of us are parents. So there's probably a gap that we don't understand, right? About dealing with a child and wanting the best for your child and being objective and having perspective and being able to really look at it and make sound decisions. There's so much emotion that must be involved, and you just want to do whatever you can to give your kid an advantage, and I get that. But if you're in that scenario and you're attached, man, make sure you got somebody close to you that's going to give you truth, so you don't wind up putting yourself in a situation that could compromise you, what you believe in as your integrity or your child's future. That I think that's the best way that we can put it.
That was well put, man. I was going to try to close it. That was well put, man.
Thank you, brother. Mm-hmm. So there you have it, man. The ins and outs, the ups, the downs, the plus, the minuses of reclassification. We are more than willing to be a resource for you. If you want to get more information, hit us up, bcomtv.com, bottom to the top hoops on Instagram. Reach out to us, man. We'd love to engage in conversation and try to be helpful when we can to just try to help the kids of our city and any city that need information. Big shout out to the team, D. Jones, Jerry Ice. Check us out, bcomtv.com, Apple TV, YouTube, Spotify. Make sure you check out that EJ5 training. We getting it in. We doctoring it up, man. We in the lab making the next players for the next generation sharper. You got the last shout outs, L.
Yeah. Big shout out to the team, man. Shout out to SAP. Shout out to that Decisions crew. Definitely about to put that out in the next 2 weeks. They stressing me. I got to put that out. I got to throw it to the street like a song. You know,
put it out. Decisions. We outside.
Shout out to Off the Grid. Those guys are doing great things. Please check that out on BCom TV or YouTube BCom TV. Doing big things, talking high school football. Big shout out to Fine Food Cuisine, that co-drive, doing great things in the community. Big shout out to my man Sleep. Shout out to Eric Adams, going for mayor, man. You know, we behind him, doing big things. I think he's going to make some real changes in the communities. You'll really see it. Why? Because he comes from there. It's a difference when you come from there compared to when you're on the outside looking in.
Yes, sir.
Make sure y'all get ready for that merch too, man. We about to start dropping that merch, hats, hoodies, t-shirts, sweatsuits, fitteds. But I want to give a big shout out, E, to Tom Kaczowski, man. We lost a legend, man. We lost a pioneer in this basketball game, man. And I love the piece that you did for Tom, man. That was amazing, man. And you know what we're gonna do for the people is we're gonna drop that exclusive sit-down interview and if I'm not mistaken, E, you might have got the last true sit-down interview with Tom.
It's quite possible, man. We're gonna re-air it, and I think what will be even better, Al, is maybe we just give some insight to the interview as it goes along, and just give people, you know, just that background on Tom and the perspective, because I was in awe of his memory, and I didn't even realize his health was failing at the time when he did the interview. He battled cancer for 2 years, man, and he's a true champion for the game. And I think it's only right to salute him and you know, just offer that piece so people can really know who Tom Kaczowski was and what he meant to this city and high school basketball.
Absolutely.
Shout out, L.
Shout out to the man upstairs.